Our story about water begins with a grainy photo of a man no one knows, Michael Schaef. He's a ghost among Germany's billionaires. No public appearances, no rich lists. This is the only known picture of him. His massive fortune comes from a shockingly simple business model, pumping billions of liters of groundwater for pennies, bottling it in plastic, and selling it at huge markups to Aldi, Lidl, and Rue. The press calls him the water billionaire. But Michael Schaef is just one piece of a much bigger global story. Today we're exposing the bottled water industry, a business built on selling you something you already own. And the craziest part, most people have no idea where this water really comes from. Step 1. Take water for free. In Germany alone, bottled water sales have increased tenfold in 50 years. In the US, they've skyrocketed 30-fold. It's now the top-selling drink, even more profitable than soda. How did we get here? Let's rewind to 2018, Tröchtlingen, Bavaria. Here, Altmühltäler Mineralbrunnen, part of Michael Schaef's empire, applied to double its groundwater extraction, from 250 million liters to 550 million liters per year. The company had its eyes on the purest, deepest groundwater, some of the most valuable in the region. In return, they offered the city an investment of 65 million euros, tax revenue, and jobs. For a city drowning in debt, it seemed like a good deal. But here's what wasn't public knowledge at the time. The local groundwater levels had been dropping for years. More water was being extracted than replenished. And despite sitting on a massive aquifer, 80% of Tröchtlingen's drinking water was imported from 28 kilometers away. Residents were literally buying their own water, back in plastic bottles from Aldi. In 2018, behind closed doors, Tröchtlingen's city council reportedly agreed to sell its groundwater for 0.01 cents per liter, 25 times cheaper than what residents paid for tap water. And when Aldi sold that same water in bottles, consumers paid 1,800 times the cost. Step 2. Sell it back at insane markups. In Germany, water is considered a public good. Companies can't just own it. The government decides who gets to extract it and at what price. But here's the catch. While tap water is cheap, for corporations, it's practically free. In 13 German states, water bottlers pay a tiny extraction fee. Coca-Cola, for example, pays just 0.009 cents per liter in Lower Saxony, then sells it for 1,000 times more. And in 3 states, companies pay absolutely nothing. For years, experts assumed Michael Schaef's company barely made a profit, a low-margin, high-volume discount water supplier. But in 2020, he decided to sell his empire. And when auditors analyzed his books, they uncovered a shocker. Annual revenue? Up to 350 million euros. Pre-tax profits? Up to 128 million euros. That's a profit margin of over 30%, a number industry experts claimed was impossible. Step 3. Convince you. It's better. Globally, bottled water sales are still booming. In the US, the market is expected to grow by 55% by 2030, and that's largely thanks to a centuries-old myth: bottled water is superior. In the late 1700s, a French nobleman with kidney problems stumbled upon a mountain spring. After drinking its water for days, he felt better. Word spread, and soon the spring's owner began bottling and selling the water as a miracle cure. This brand, Evian. Today, Evian produces 10 million liters daily and sells in 150-plus countries. For centuries, bottled water was a niche luxury, but in the 1970s, Perrier cracked the code, positioning bottled water as a status symbol and a healthier alternative to soda. Today, brands market bottled water as pure, untouched, and superior. But here's what they don't tell you. Tap water often contains just as many, if not more, minerals than bottled water. In fact, for most people, a balanced diet provides all the necessary minerals. No bottled water required. And then there's the biggest selling point: safety. Companies push the idea that tap water is risky, full of nitrates and contaminants. The message is clear: bottled water is the only way to stay safe. Step 4. Manufacture fear. Big water brands have spent decades turning public mistrust of tap water into billions in profit. The largest players, PepsiCo, Aquafina, Coca-Cola, Dasani, Danone, Evian, and Nestlé, are known as the Big Four of bottled water. They thrive on fear. In the US, trust in tap water plummeted in the 70s, coinciding with a surge in bottled water sales. Today, luxury brands like Fiji capitalize on this fear, marketing their water as untouched and pristine. Reality check. Yes, trace amounts of nitrates and pharmaceuticals can be found in tap water, but they exist in such tiny quantities that they pose no real health risk. In fact, we consume far more nitrates through vegetables than tap water. Meanwhile, bottled water isn't as pure as you think. In a 2018 study, 93% of bottled water samples contained microplastics, and in blind taste tests, most people couldn't tell the difference between bottled and tap water. The bottom line: bottled water companies have mastered one of the most profitable scams of all time, taking a public resource, bottling it, and selling it back to us at ridiculous markups. And as long as we keep buying into the myth, they'll keep cashing in. So next time you reach for a bottle of water, ask yourself, are you paying for water or just really good marketing?